Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we have Bedtime. Alright, good night, guys. Sleep well.
I'm out.
It's a happy time.
So yeah, we're doing the creepypasta.
Bedtime? Fuck yeah! Alright! I'm gonna kick the Sandman in his face with my energy legs. Because, you know.
Sandman would be like, slow down.
Make me listen to that way too much.
Probably. But yeah, we're doing Bedtime by Michael Whitehouse. You can check it out on creepypasta.wiki.
How?
Yes.
Sorry, that was an Armageddon reference for every, that one person who got it.
Yeah. We're looking at you, Jim.
I just hope that one person who got it is actually listening.
He's like, bleep.
What? My Armageddon sense is tingling. I must listen to this. I don't think so.
No. Yeah, it's on creepypasta.wiki. You can check it out there.
On your phone.
Several readings of it on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description below. And apparently a ambulance is rushing to get us out of here.
I called them preemptively for you.
Good idea.
Step!
You guys didn't like the story already? That badly, eh? They had to kill the cultists again. So yeah, we'll jump right in. Oh yeah, if you don't know what creepypasta are, go Google it. They're short internet stories that get copied and pasted across the internet. That's why we've been doing this show for 2 years. What? So yeah, we'll dive right into this one. So this guy is recounting his terrifying experience that haunts him to this day from when he was 8. He used to sleep in a bunk bed with his older brother, but he gets moved to a narrow room at the back of the house when his brother wants his own room because he's older. And so he gets moved into this new room with the bunk bed. And hey, he gets the.
Why don't they move the one who wants bed, or like the sorry, not
yeah,
the bed,
I guess so.
The
like,
bedroom alone.
Seniority. That's about the gist of it. But yeah. You think like the older kids?
You're older. You get the new room.
Yeah,
that's how it always worked in my house.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, okay, you're right. If it was the bigger room, it's like, oh, he's 6 inches taller than you. He needs more room.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's here, sleeping on the top bunk of the bed, that he begins receiving an unseen visitor that scares him at night.
He needs an adult.
In the bottom bunk. Yeah, in the bottom bunk, like this thrashing, like we never see this thing, but it's like thrashing through the covers of the bottom bunk.
Well, it really moved when it first.
Yeah, as if it's just like kind of restless.
Yeah. Like a restless sleeper tossing.
So,
and then once the kid screams for his mom, then it gets...
The bed starts shaking.
I'm going to say violent, but it's really just against the bed,
not him, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the bed like hits the walls and stuff like that when it's shaking, but then it all stops as soon as the mom comes into the room. And...
So you hear that, kids at home? If you're slightly startled in the middle of the night, and for some reason listening to this show, call for your mother as loud as you can, because nothing can harm you as long as she's in the...
Yeah.
A public service announcement from Dr. Leviathan.
He's a real doctor. I am not a doctor.
I'm a doctor and kicking your ass.
So everything seems fine all the way through the morning with the mom there.
Sleeping in the bottom.
Yeah. And the next day, he's playing with friends outside in the backyard, and but gets this like every so often he'll get this like dread of the window to that narrow room, and he's just not looking forward to going back in there. And that night, with the realization that what's the visitor is a ghost, the visitor's activities.
I think it's pronounced ghost.
Yeah. The visitor's activities change almost instantly, from just like restless to like beginning to wheeze and rasp, and then starts prodding the wood the wood supports for the top bunk and then through the mattress with a finger, and then starts like jabbing the kid through the mattress with a finger. And the boy screams for his mom, and the shaking is violent again, and then it stops immediately after the mom shows up. And this cycle proceeds for several months until the winter, when his mom has to care for the boy's ailing grandmother, and won't be in the house overnight. So he tries to defend himself by ripping the bottom mattress and bunk supports away from the bottom bunk, and putting in like a desk and dresser, and he like covers it up. I was like, "Oh, I'm making an office," and his dad's just like, "That's adorable."
You should start calling it a cubicle now, son.
Oh, too real.
Which is
Yeah, really, yeah. And he also grabs a crucifix from his mom's jewelry box that he saw because, hey, when I was a kid, I believed in God. I don't believe in him anymore, but at the time, it seemed like a good idea. And if horror movies are anything, like, well, that's kind of a little bit believable for a kid. And so that night he is horrified when the thing is no longer at the bottom, but on top of him, under the covers, and that cross is missing from under the pillow.
He really needs an adult.
He really needs an adult at this point. The thing is seemingly sleeping or resting, and so he struggles to keep it together all night, debating a plan of escape, until the thing starts like grabbing hold a little bit tighter, and then latches onto him more firmly, and proceeds to try and drag him into the wall, which he realizes is where it's been coming from. He holds on with the struggle till the sunlight starts pouring into the room, but passes out from the creature like finally choking him, and then he wakes up to his dad asking if he wants breakfast, and to which shortly after he immediately moves the bed as far away from walls as possible in this narrow room. As an adult he can't think of any way to excuse the logical reasons for this occurrence aside from he can't deny sleep paralysis might be a thing, the hallucinations, the whatnot, but he leaves off with saying that after the biggest incident his parents swapped rooms there with him, so that like they just really needed the room for like sleeping, they didn't need it for anything else, so they gave him their room, and then they lasted about 10 days before the whole family moved on the 11th day. Dun dun dun. End. I should also mention this is Bedtime 1 because there is actually there's two sequels to this. We'll get to those in a later episode. So my thoughts on this one. The author takes their time building up the story of events happening to this 8-year-old self, and building the suspense of what's going on.
It takes like half the story to get to the first fucking one.
A little too much. Like, some of the sentences use way too many commas and go way too long.
Well,
like
that's the Death Row.
Yeah, sorry. But like I was literally reading one that looked like a small paragraph, and then I realized that there's just a lot of commas in it, like at least 5. And I was like, oh my god, no, that's not no. He constantly refers back to this room being really narrow, with just enough room to have a bunk bed and some dressers. But it apparently has enough room as well for an 8-year-old to pull a mattress away from the bed, or to move that bed effectively away from any walls. So
that's easy. If it's wide enough on its narrowest side,
okay, yeah,
to fit
I guess
the bed lengthways,
yeah,
he could turn the bed at a 90-degree angle and center it.
Yeah, all right.
Otherwise, how would his parents benefit?
That's true. Yeah. I don't know, it's just like he kept focusing on narrow, like the narrow room. And it was like, well, it's so narrow, like, how are you able... Anyway, to me, it was just, it's a nitpick, probably, but...
I grew up in a narrow bedroom because, and it was the exact same thing. Like, if I had to put my bed across the room, I actually did as I was older, I did actually cut my room in half because it was actually a room and a half.
Okay.
But because it was cut in half, there was a longer, like they were both longer
Yeah.
than they were wide. And I actually cut it in half by putting a futon up. And using that area as a TV area, and then
Using the...
back of it for storage, and then using the stuff past the wall as my bedroom.
Gotcha.
I had a little suite up in my...
Sounds like it.
My childhood bedroom, when I was like 15, turned into a little bedroom suite.
Yeah. The monster in this one, I know we didn't describe it in the rundown, but it's kind of cool and creepy. It's very it kind of comes off as like a little bit like an imp meets like the Samara from The Ring, like long black hair. At least that's what we kind of get description of. And it's coming out of the wall. I think it was done pretty well, although there's an issue at the end of it where I wasn't sure if the thing was invisible or just he couldn't see it in the dark, the way it's described. Personally, I just got confused with like whether or not this thing is actually like visible to this kid or if he's just like feeling what feels like horrible things. The wall thing's a cool little revelation for me at the end. Like the whole like coming, like it wasn't just like a poltergeist or something, a ghost, ghost child or ghost monster living in the house in the room. It was actually like coming out of a wall at him. The way he escapes the monster is a bit weak to me. Like he just wakes up after being choked out by the creature. Why didn't he get killed or like taken into the wall world or whatever? While I expect that fainting ending from Lovecraft, I think this would have been a stronger ending had he held on enough for the sunlight to like hit the creature and drive it away back into the wall. Not even kill it, maybe even just like weaken it somehow. It would have tied better for the childhood theming of the story, I felt. And well, I do actually kind of like that he doesn't try to deny the fact that like a lot of this could have just been like this whole like encounter and this whole event could have been like he doesn't like deny like the logical reasoning of like sleep paralysis and stuff like that. But he does leave off with his like the parent situation, so he leaves it with a what was it like, what's going on, like is it not, like it leaves the reader to get to wonder at the end of it, and I kind of like that.
It pretty flatly states this is real, and the fact that he's like, well, I can't prove it's not this, was kind of exhausting.
Yeah, that was weak.
You guys didn't like that? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
because he immediately hits you with evidence supporting, and I mean, like, it honestly, if he was going to bring up sleep paralysis or even night terrors or whatever, just nightmares, it would have been better for him to bring them up and then deny the possible, like, you might not believe me, but trust me, that's not what this was.
Yeah.
It would have been better for him to deny them in the same breath as to bring them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or to just
not have them up. Yeah, because I mean, like, reading this whole story, like, I was like, yeah, this is sleep paralysis.
No.
Or at least that's what it felt like. It was going to, the revelation for me anyways. But apparently I'm a big dummy. And at the end it was just like, oh, that's... So it wasn't.
Honestly,
like,
to me,
right.
it played like Night Terrors.
Yeah. It much more Night Terrors, and that wasn't even listed.
I'm not really familiar with Night Terrors.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not familiar with them either.
But based on the name and the fact that, that's what it seemed more like to me.
Oh, really? Like Night Terrors is the thing where like you think something's on you or something like that, or is that still sleep paralysis?
That's still sleep paralysis.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, that's my stuff about this one because So, Mikey, Easton's for Evil or Dr. Wyvern?
Well, the whole sleep paralysis explanation is not clearly what it is because he explains that he moves when the creature is there.
Yeah. Okay.
And paralysis is in the name, so you're paralyzed.
There was a brief moment where he's like, I tried to scream and I couldn't. And then,
depending on when this was written, sleep paralysis sleep paralysis has, there we go, been a pretty word in the world of, horror right now.
Yeah.
And it has been for...
Elm Street?
No, not that one, because in Nightmare on Elm Street they would have gone with nightmares, or possibly as far as night terrors.
Yeah.
Sleep paralysis, in comparison, is a fairly new term, but it's also been around for a few years.
Yeah.
So I think that may have been why it was used. Also, spoiler alert, I'm guessing this person wasn't exactly old
Yeah.
because his parents made it 10 days. They moved on the 11th. It's kind of hard for adults with children
Yeah.
to move in a day.
Yeah.
Well,
it would
in
have been
less than a
planned.
day.
To be fair, that happens in horror movies, in bad horror movies, not in real life, logistically.
So
Like, that literally happened in Poltergeist 1, I think. They just, like, got up and left.
No, they got up and went with their grandmother. They didn't get up and move.
Oh, yeah, I guess
They packed up. They got
Sorry,
what they could
I forgot
and
about
into the car
Yeah.
and went to live with grandmother.
Sorry, I forgot about the second movie for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't move in a day. Their house
Is still there. No, it isn't,
wasn't.
actually.
Yeah, so you just brought up a really bad.
I'm sorry.
Really
I'll just
bad
walk out.
example.
I'll leave. See you guys.
You know where the door is. Function. Excellent. Welcome to the Dr. Leviathan Show.
And Mikey, the E stands for evil.
I can't let you guys do that. Also, that's my recorder.
I'm just going to ignore him and tell you to
Proceed.
Yeah. So for the whole 10 days, like, obviously the parents were planning to move, and the 10 days was, I don't want to have to deal with him constantly yelling in the middle of the night, or
Yeah,
Mom.
like the
So
child
move
doesn't
them.
see what's going on.
and we'll sleep there for 10 days and then we're gone. Peace of mind. Nice, logical adult thinking.
Yeah, yeah, well, and to be like that, like he's telling you from his perspective. So to his perspective, it's like, well, that like we left on the 11th day. It's like, yeah, you're as a child, you didn't see what was going on with what your parents were actually doing and stuff.
Well, and I think what he was actually trying to sell was the fact that it happened to them
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
yeah,
And, yeah, obviously just, I don't know, living in some magic world where you can set up a move in like 12 hours.
yeah.
Set up and execute a move in 12 hours.
Yeah. Back to the thing. So the second paragraph, he says, as someone who is trained in the sciences,
Yeah,
I cannot prove that what happened to me was objectively real, but I can swear that what I experienced was genuine horror.
I love that term, objectively old. I don't think I've ever heard that term anywhere. Like, it's either real or it's not. There's no objectivity with real. There's objectivity with truth, with so many other things. I also really, really loved, as someone who is trained in the sciences.
yeah. I don't know why that was
Oh.
there.
Well,
Aside from
it's supposed
Yeah.
to set him up as a logical, real-world thinker. However, he's only trained in the science. I am a devout atheist. I can become trained in theology.
yeah,
It doesn't change the fact that I am a man of science, that I have a scientific mind.
yeah. It's there to really just say it's like I'm a logical thinker. It's like,
But
no, but
the
like,
way he says it, it's like, well, you're a logical thinker, but you're not a very good thinker.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, you can become trained in anything, like, you know, the aforementioned all those shit tons of cubicle workers. They're trained like that. That's not their natural habitat.
the natural habitat of the cubicle worker.
Notice the spill-proof mug.
Yeah.
Anywho, what's your gripe about
Yeah,
Because I totally just jumped on it.
Yeah. Well, you touched on a lot of points, but then I think he uses as like sort of part of his opening, so that when he gets to the closing, he can say, "Call it superstition, if you will, but as I said, I cannot discount conventional explanations such as sleep paralysis, hallucination, or that of overactive imagination." So, sleep paralysis we've already talked about.
yeah,
Hallucination. The key thing for psychology for hallucination is that it usually only affects one sense. So you have visual, or you have audio.
No, you can
Or
have
not-
yeah, you can have audio.
visual audio
Yeah.
hallucination. You can combine the two.
You sure?
Fairly certain.
Not as it's defined by psychology.
Huh, weird.
So, because somebody can have a visual... Well, the example that I remember from my psychology class that I took was that somebody saw the rock group Kiss.
Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere they went.
Oh.
And, like, there was an elevator, only them in there, but they were there. And that was the only time that they talked to them in public, was if they're, like, secluded or something. But they were everywhere.
Huh. That's a creepypasta in itself. But so it was he only saw them though. He never actually like talked to them like with like a two-way conversation.
No, not a two-way conversation. But
yeah, actually, I was kind of with Dr. Leviathan. I thought audio-visual hallucinations were a thing too. But again, I watch a lot of horror movies, so be that as it will.
Yeah. So, so that's discounted.
All right.
And then overactive imagination. Review Cultist can probably speak to this. He has a relatively active imagination.
Yeah.
Have you ever imagined a very creepy monster standing right beside you?
Yes.
And enough to strangle you?
Well, I probably had night terrors, but I have had actually recently. A couple of weeks ago, I had a part where I was lucidly awake, like getting to sleep, and I heard a beeping sound somewhere in the house, and I was like, "The hell is that?" It's probably the fire thing. And then immediately afterward, I heard what sounded like a truck, like driving past like a really heavy truck parking outside, but it kept going, and I was like, "Aliens are coming! The aliens are coming!" And it freaked me out. Like I literally was hyperventilating, and I had to stop. I had to like slow down.
Touched.
I wasn't touched, no, but.
You didn't need an adult.
My imagination was definitely overreacting.
Yes, but this thing strangled the kid.
I know, and so, it does harken back to, like, the fact that it's...
Now,
yes.
That being said, a child's overactive imagination, theoretically, it could be so overactive that the kid loses control of what it's imagining, so the kid's imagining being choked.
Yeah.
Because he never mentions anything about bruises on the neck, or like his dad asking him, like, what the hell happened to your neck? Which, if you've been choked to the point of unconsciousness,
you're not
necessarily going to have some bruising, but I wouldn't be surprised about it.
Yeah.
So, that's all... That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because if his imagination is saying you're being choked, then his brain is saying I'm being choked.
Yeah.
It's time to pass out. Mm-hmm. Or it was all a dream in the first place.
Exactly. Whereas nightmares or night terrors fit it a lot more.
Yeah, and actually, reading this, a lot of those... the things that were happening, like him, like the poking in the through the mattress, and hearing that weird noise like below your bed and stuff like that. Yeah, I experienced those as a kid. Like those were like ringing true for like my night terrors or my nightmares at least. Or like the thing where like you think you're awake, but you're like lucidly dreaming. Yeah, I definitely I was like definitely
a fucking kid, and you watched one too many not quite safe for you movies.
Poltergeist. Species. Hellraiser. As a kid.
Never gave me nightmares.
Anyway, moving right along.
Gave me a warm,
okay.
sticky
feeling.
Keep moving.
It's not like that. I meant like drying blood, sicko.
Oh, it's that kind of episode, is it? Alright.
So, now this one took me a while to think about.
Justify for yourself?
Well,
you nitpicking son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, I thought of it a few hours after reading type thing. I woke gradually. The room was once again dark. As my eyes adjusted, I could gradually make out the window and the door. He's been sleeping. His eyes are already adjusted to darkness. What needs to be adjusted?
Yeah, when you wake up, you've got pretty good night vision.
Yeah.
I actually, that one was in my head when I read it. I was like, why are your eyes adjusting? What are they adjusting to? The fact that there's more light?
Yeah, okay.
Because, as someone who worked nights, oftentimes when I'd wake up, it'd be a fuck ton brighter than it was when I was asleep.
Yeah.
But, I was like, no. As a teenager, I suffered from not quite insomnia, but I woke up, after 3 hours of sleep, and I was just like, And I could see, like, I mean, obviously not as good as right now, but, you know, I could walk around
You can
and
navigate
not
your room.
bash my shins
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. That's not quite a nitpick. That's pretty. That's a pretty like logical. That's a pretty logical fallacy.
Yeah, and well, just another thing that I sort of thought of was we've determined that the monster doesn't like light.
Yeah.
It's a kid, nightlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, another thing to like try and defend
Why
against
the
it.
fuck?
But
Well, and I mean, the fact
it's
that...
going on for months.
Exactly, it goes on for months, and his parents don't buy a nightlight. Like,
Yeah.
Also, this kid's 8 years old. I know. Like,
I mean, if I was moving my youngest kid into a room on their own, I'd be like, okay, his older brother isn't there. We're gonna have a nightlight on standby because I'm not fucking having 2 sleepless nights.
yeah.
You
Let
know,
alone
like I'm not
months
I'm not
of-
having a shit ton of sleepless nights before we solve this. It's going to, like, if he has a problem, I'm just gonna say, bam, problem solved.
Also, yeah, like I mean, and yeah, like again, months go by of like the cycle of like the bomb coming into that room and stuff like that, and like he keeps describing them as like a caring, loving family. And I don't disagree with that. Like I'm sure that's the case, but I mean, just
I
based
don't
off
know.
of my own
No
childhood.
fucking nightlight?
Hang on, yeah, just based on my own childhood experiences, there's a difference between like loving and caring and stupidity, or just not like again, the nightlight would have come out, the mom would not be going in there every night and to every time the child, like after about maybe a week at the most, at least for like my family, my mom would have had enough and just made me like just sleep alone.
Yeah, throwing you to the wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is.
And I mean, that's if the nightlight doesn't work.
Exactly, yeah. Like the nightlight would have been the
And
next
if it
the
had
first step.
kept going, like, I mean, I can't really think. Like, I can't imagine the parent where a child is going through, again, what I viewed as night terrors
Yeah.
for a month, like for an entire month,
Yeah.
without taking them to a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to take them to
Like,
the family
even if the kid's-
pediatrician,
Yeah.
and they're going to say, you know, like, he's been having night terrors for a month now. What,
Yeah.
you know, what can we do to go forward
Yeah.
to put a stop to this? Because, like, it's obvious, it's clearly affecting the world. Well, like, the world in that
Their
household.
their little environment. Like the kid's like not saying what's happening, but he keeps like repeating, like murmuring when she asks, nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, this kid needs to go to like needs to get checked out a little bit, like,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with it. Like just a quick checkup, see what can be done.
He needs, yeah.
If the nightlight doesn't work, the nightlight should have been there, and it just wasn't in this
Yeah.
story. Is the problem?
And that's actually, I'm gonna, nothing is in the story. Like, the dad isn't in the story until he's asking if you want me to make breakfast.
Yeah,
The brother isn't in this story at all.
yeah. It's
The
really
mother isn't in this story.
the mother is a plot device.
She's not in the story. The fact that she comes and checks on him is in this story.
Yeah,
His friends that he plays with.
they're all
aren't in this
faceless
story.
figures.
Exactly. Every, like,
It's all him, and the creature.
yeah.
That again is unseen until the very end, where we get the description. And it's a cool creature, but like, yeah, it's really just this struggle between him and his nightmare.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah. Sorry, we went on a rant there.
It's okay. It gives him time to collect his thoughts.
Well, and it all fell apart in the first sentence. Bedtime is supposed to be a happy event for a tired child.
No.
Yeah.
As an uncle, no.
Yeah, I've tried to put a lot of kids to bed. Well, not a lot, but I've tried to put, a few kids to bed in my day, and they've never been happy about it. And I'm not that fun. To the point where they'd want to lose sleep over hanging out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, my niece is... she hates sleep. She hates going to bed. And, mind you, she's 2, but...
Well,
yeah.
of course she does. There's something coming out of the wall and canoodling her.
Yeah, I was definitely getting some needed adults in some of these parts of this story. I was like, where are you going, story?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just for fun. But
It's creepy. Like, it's definitely it's kind of like, it's an effective creepy.
It's like, it's wheezy and just, I was like, oh, man.
It's getting weird.
Dirty old man. Dirty old man.
Yeah.
I was like, you need an adult. And then he's like, Mom! And I'm like, good call.
The power of mother compels you. Sorry, Mikey. He stands for evil. Do you have anything else?
No, I've gone through my list.
All right. I think I've griped about every gripe I've got, but there are actually some nice things I want to say.
Sorry.
It's not that odd. I just never say them about you.
Oh.
Think on it.
Show over.
I actually, I liked the pacing of this, except for as so common up until the end. But this wasn't the worst offender of the end time rush.
I was actually looking for that. Like, I was like, I don't know if this one's gonna have that.
It did go a little quickly, and it could have been extended, but it doesn't necessarily not work. Like, it still works, just could have been a little longer. So definitely not the worst offender to end time rush time. But the fact that you're like halfway through this story before the first like night terror hits, spends the time, establishing maybe not, the family or, a day in the life of, but establishing the bedtime thing and the fact of what was different now and yada yada yada. Also, my mind went nuts. Like, between the first night terror and between the night he woke up and it was, like, canoodling him, my mind went nuts with possibilities.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like, I was like, oh man, it's probably, all just dreams and shit, he yells, and then I was like, oh man, like, the first night when, his mom sleeps in the bottom bunk, I was like, oh man, I'm picturing it canoodling her, like, it's down there with her still, and it's like, its motivations throughout the entire story, I was like, oh, it just, it wants its mother.
Yeah.
But its mother's gone because it's a ghost.
Yeah.
That it wants, the next best thing. Someone else's mother. And, like, I was like, oh my god. So, the ending disappointed me. But that's because I came up with, like, a good handful of other stories or motivations or possibilities for the monster that pleased me more. And I'm trying not to hold it against the actual ending that we got because
it's not too bad.
It's not really fair of me because, I came up with a better end for you. It happens a lot, to be completely honest, when I'm watching movies or what have you.
Reading creepypastas or stories in general.
Not stories in general, because I tend to read stories by good authors. I'm very picky about the authors I read. So they can usually outdo me. I'm not better than Clive Barker or Stephen King.
Yeah.
Even I do not have that much of an inflated ego. But yeah, so I honestly, I try to remain unopinionated about the ending because I did better, but again, that's something that happens a lot. But the fact that he painted the scenes well enough in the middle part, I gotta give kudos to, because, my mind, not literally, but, quite figuratively, ran in just out of control with possibilities and imagining, and it's certainly not every creepypasta that can paint that image for me. Now, it might also have been the fact that when I was a kid, I lived in my bedroom was a narrow room.
So you were just kind of like,
I can picture this room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can picture this room really well because I just picture my childhood bedroom and rearrange the furniture.
Yeah, I had a pretty vivid image in my head for what it looked like.
But yeah, other than that, and my previous gripes, I don't really have anything to say about this one. Yeah.
Wow. There's one quick thing that because you're bringing up like the creature and like how you had different ideas. One actually thing that did pop in my head actually when the creature was on him and like kind of like holding him down and like he was freaking out about it. I was like, for a second, I was like, this creature isn't being really threatening right now. Is this gonna go weird, like some kind of like monster friend kind of thing? And then it didn't, and I was like,
well, and I was actually thinking like, it can't canoodle with his mom, so it's canoodling with him.
yeah, it's really a misunderstood creature.
Yeah.
And then, but like the way he kept writing it was that it was like it's a predator, like just toying with its prey. I was like, that could be the over active imagination of a child. This thing could actually just be wanting a friend. And it was like I was kind of like getting some sympathy points for the creature toward the creature.
And actually, that's one point where the painting of a picture was just out the window because it's like, it's on top of me. It's like, I was like, so is it like on top of you? Or is it like, is it arm on top of you? Like arm and shoulder? Like...
Because initially, when he says that, it's like I got the impression that it was just on.
Because I mean, if
and
it's
then, like,
on you, like Jesus Christ, how are you moving? Like,
yeah, and then as he described it, it was like, oh, the arm's on.
And it's like he can get hands under the pillow. Like it was just,
exactly.
it was a fucking, it was a mess.
Yeah, I think that's what left my confusion originally. So yeah.
But the rest of the times where he just wakes up in the middle of the night, just I don't know. Again, if like maybe I was just so easily to go there. Wow, that wasn't a good sentence. I don't know if it was just so easy for me to get there to see it, or if it was actually the words. I'm willing to give the author the benefit of the doubt and say it was the words. But yeah, the rest of it was just, I don't know. It painted a picture where my mind just fucking went nutter butters, and it was delightful.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I was reading because last week we had the really flowery prose, and I was like, and I'm reading this one and it's like this is a little bit slow, but it's not as like poetic as that last one.
And that's
what I was looking at.
That's what allows you to paint the picture because you're not trying to figure out what all of these synonyms mean.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's great you have a thesaurus, but you use language that your reader can immediately look at the word, know exactly what you mean, and then start painting the picture.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get the picture painted.
Yeah. And this one was definitely being achieved.
Yes, this one worked. Like, I mean, they took their time, especially at the beginning, getting to the good stuff. But by the time they got to the good stuff, you had a good picture.
Yeah.
Whereas last week it was, you extended your vocabulary by like 5 words, unless you already knew them.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see the fucking forest for the trees.
Or the canyon. But I was definitely like looking at this one. It's like because I had heard about this one because it's actually popped up a past of the month on creepypasta.wiki a couple times. And I know like a couple, like I think last year it was like a really big popular one online. So I was like curious to see like, but I hadn't really hadn't read it until we picked it for this one. And I was like, what's this all? So I was like diving into this one. Like I was all right, I gotta be a little more critical. See what's
I can
going
actually
on.
agree with this one being popular.
Yeah,
This is not.
This one's actually
This is not fucking Hefe the Killer.
That's a pretty low bar.
Well, yeah, but that one was also very
That's
popular.
true, yeah. That one was... my brain slips away from how that one was popular. But okay, yeah.
Really? Because I already laid it out when we
did
it. It had a cool image. But this one actually is a functioning story. It's fat where it should be fat. It's skinny where it should be skinny. It's just...
Are there flaws? Yes, but...
Yes, but, I mean, I can read a Stephen King novel and find flaws.
Yeah. That's actually... Wow, that's really high praise.
It's just saying that everything has flaws. Except for me. But I'm not a family person.
So, with that, do we have anything else to say about this one? Before we move on to recommendations?
I'm just gonna ask you to remind me that I didn't hate this when we look at the sequels.
Yeah, the sequels look pretty short
because I tend to I tend to forget that I ever liked any of the ones we feature
No
on
End
this
House.
show.
No End. Actually, I'm getting like flashbacks of No End House, the first review, because it's like it paints a really good picture. I really kind of enjoyed the story, and then like when we did No End House 2, it's like I hate this fucking story. It's like you didn't hate the last one. It's like I'm sure I did. It's like no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I have it on recording. It's like really okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I fear
Yeah.
this is going to be a repeat of No End House.
I think so. Well, you know what, here's
And the
hoping.
thing is if it keeps hitting the same marks as this one,
Yeah.
yes, it will be just like that, because I'll hate the next one.
Yeah.
Because been there, done that, I got the t-shirt, I got the picture with Mickey, I don't need to go back.
Yeah, no, and this and like some of the other sequels we've done, I believe the next two sequels are actually done by Michael. So, thumbs up, hopefully. Here's hoping. So yeah, I guess
I don't know. I like the work here.
yeah. All right, so recommendations then.
Yeah, apparently, I'm actually all for this one.
Wow.
It has flaws,
Yeah.
but, you know, I'm sure Michelangelo's David has.
I'm going to pretty much repeat what Leviathan said. Like, it has flaws, yeah, but I enjoyed the read for the most part. And I liked despite the fact that the ending could have gone better. The creature was a cool design throughout. So, yeah, I'll recommend it. At the very least, go check out a reading of it, because I'm sure there's a really good one, which I will leave a link in the description below where this gets posted. And Mike.
Well, aside from the whole science thing, which really didn't need to be there, the mentioning of being a science man, and then at the end stating, well, I can't just discount these sciencey things that I haven't read about.
Yeah.
I haven't even read the Wikipedia entries on.
Yes. And have not looked up what night terrors are.
Yeah.
That would pretty much... Oh, yeah, it's only night terrors.
Well, because night terrors aren't the it word now.
No, yeah.
Sleep paralysis is the thing that's in vogue right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you take that out and actually focusing on the monster, it seems a lot more supernatural
Yeah.
in origin, which actually makes the story better, in my opinion, because there's no real explanation of why
and
the
the best
monster's
part
there.
is if he hadn't tried to do the science bits, it could have been open as
Two interpretations.
is it a night terror? Is it a monster in the walls?
We might be having a different argument or discussion right now.
Exactly.
If it had been there, because we might have two sides, like, no, this is supernatural. No, and then Mikey would be like, no, sleep paralysis, guys. It's not aliens. But yeah,
And then
so...
Spartan kick to the chin.
Yeah, so, like I said, the monster was good. It made it for an enjoyable read, so I'm recommending it.
Wow. 3 recommendations. All right, Michael Whitehouse, you did good.
It's 3 bloody scrap cloth.
So yeah, that was this week's episode of Al Dente Rigor Mortis. If you like what you heard, if you didn't, you can leave us a comment in the comment section below, wherever this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr. We're all on Twitter now, at Dr. Leviathan and Review Cultist, and E stands for evil. And if you want, you can get a hold of us by sending us an email at aldenterigormortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, where you can send us emails and suggestions for creepypastas you'd like to discuss on the show. Wow, I really butchered that. Okay. Also, you can send us rate us on iTunes and send us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Also, you can check out title cards for each episode at crazonstudios.tumblr.com, and we're on Patreon. So if you'd like to support us and like to check out our Patreon, just go to patreon.aldenterigormortis. So until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm still Dr. Leviathan.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well. Well, this is
Not
going to be
putting this in your face again.
Thank you.
Please tell me you got that.
Yeah, I did get that recorded.
There's your bumper. There's your bumper. There's your bumper. There's your bumper. There's your bumper.